Welcome back to another episode of Leaders Unplugged. Today, we have a very special guest, J.None. He's currently a musician, and we're going to pass the baton over to J.None and let him introduce himself and let him tell you some facts about him, about his life and everything.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on, y'all? It's J.None. You already knew. Um, I am 757, born and raised Norfolk, Virginia Beach. Um, I am a new daddy, which is the most important thing in my entire life right now, and probably will be the most important thing in my entire life. I got a baby girl named Sarai. She's 2 months old. Well, she's about to be 3 months old now. Or no, not 3 months, 2 months and a week. I don't know how to count. And I'm an R&B hip hop artist. I've been doing this since over 20 years now, performing, writing music, releasing songs, doing covers, acting, a little dancing, a little instrumentation, a little production. And I just love music, and I love being able to share my love of that music in many, many different ways with many, many different people. So thanks for having me, y'all.
Yeah, of course. Great introduction. Music. Why don't you tell us how you got into that career and like what was it that made you want to pursue music?
What made me want to pursue music? That's an easy one. When I was a very small child, I was a huge like Jackson 5 fan. Um, so when I first heard Kid Michael Jackson, that was the first time I heard somebody who I like kind of sounded like, but on like recording. So I saw this movie at the time called, I think it was called The American Dream, like the Jacksons, An American Dream. And I saw like, just them depicting like the Jackson Five's like life and how they, came to be and how they rose to stardom. And watching Kid Michael Jackson like do his thing, I was like, oh, I want to do something like that. So when I was very, very, very young, I got inspired that way to want to be an artist.
Yeah, that's really cool. Jackson 5, I mean, phenomenal. That's a great group. Yeah, so like in your career and everything, correct me if I'm wrong, but you sing in the Navy, is that right?
Yes, I've been in the Navy for 4 years now, and I've been singing in the United States Navy Band in DC for a little bit over 2 years now.
Nice. So what's like the process of that? Like if someone was wanting to pursue that, what would it take to get to that point?
Um, Really, it's just a an audition. Um, when they have auditions posted, you can find it online, and you can submit like I think a recording or something first, like an MP3, and then they invite you out in person if they like the recordings they heard. Or I think sometimes they don't do the MP3. I don't know. It changes sometimes, I think, but it's just like auditioning for anything else. You go online and you find when the audition is happening and where it's happening at, and you just go there and you do your thing.
Yeah, that's great. So Navy, did you have to go to boot camp?
Yeah, I did. And
Wow.
I tried to I tried to get out of it multiple times. I kept going to see the recruiter, and I was like, "Hey man, you sure? You sure I gotta go to boot camp? Are you absolutely 1,000% sure?" Like I think I'm pretty sure I asked him at least 50 times, probably more than that. Like by the time it was time for me to go, I was like, I'm just going to be a musician. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I was like, I don't gotta go to boot camp, right? And they were like, nah, you gotta go to boot camp. But I just found out actually recently that every branch you don't have to go to boot camp to be a musician in the military. I can't remember what I think there's like two other branches that you don't have to go to boot camp for, I believe. And I was shocked when I found out about that. I was like, I felt kind of betrayed or like or like
Yeah.
set up. It's like, oh, they don't have to go to boot camp. That's messed up. But it gives you like a different appreciation for the job and like just for service, I guess overall. because almost everybody had to go through that. It's like a rite of passage, like, you know.
Yeah. So boot camp, what was that? What was that like? Like, what was the experience like being in boot camp?
That was a long time ago. Um, um, I don't know. It's like a little bit of everything. It's like a little traumatic. It's like a little fun. It's like a little weird. It's like a little annoying. I don't know. I just remember like first getting there because it was still kind of like COVID was still like kind of fresh. So like we were all masked up the whole time, just about. Like we had to be quarantined all together when we first got there, and um that was super weird. And like not getting fed a whole lot at first, that was super weird. Um like the medical visits were super weird. Like it was a lot. Like now that I'm thinking about it, like it was a lot. I tend to try and remember like the funnier parts of it though, like grown men who couldn't do like 10 push-ups and stuff like that. Like like that stuff was like kind of funny, like just to watch. And then you like by the end of it, you're like, oh, okay, they got a little bit stronger. They can do more than 10 push-ups now. Good for them, you know. Um, but it was a very weird experience. I wish I had some video footage from it so I could go back and like show people like I would pay for some of the footage from it because there's some iconic stuff that happened in there. And then there was just some stuff that you wouldn't believe unless you saw it, right? Like if somebody told you, you'd be like, nah, that didn't happen. It was like, yeah, it really did happen. Um, but it was a lot. It was a lot. And yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah.
So, I mean, looking back on, as you're looking back right now on doing that whole boot camp and, the good moments and the traumatic moments and all that stuff, um, would you say now that you've gone through it all and you've kind of had that experience, would you say that it was worth it just going into music and stuff like that, not even doing like the main, not actually like going out and fighting or whatever. It's just the music side of things. Would you say it was worth the experience of the boot camp to be a part of that choir?
Worth it. Worth is not the phrase I would use for it. Um, I don't know what I would use for it. I know as a musician, we did not need to go to boot camp to do our job, right? 'Cause most of us already know how to do it, right? We got either tons of performance experience, or like bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and doctorates and stuff like that. So it's like you don't need to go do boot camp to go be a musician in the Navy. But like I said, it gives you like a different level of appreciation, right? And like gratitude to see what um real military personnel have to do before they can, do the thing that they want to do in their service. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I would use that phrase for it, but I guess it helps me like find some even ground with some of my other uh Navy personnel when I see them out and about, and they'd be like, because I know they'd be asking us the same question too. They'd be like, "Hey, you guys are just musicians, but did y'all have to do boot camp or whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we did. We had to do it too." So, you know, brotherhood and sisterhood and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and like speaking of like requirements and stuff for like singing and being in the music industry, our audience is a lot of college students, and like Devin and I were both college students, and so kind of wondering from you, I mean, you've made it in your career, like, do you think that it's a requirement or a necessity to go to college to be in the music industry?
No, I don't think it is. Um, Obviously, any level of education you can get helps you, right? Like the more you know, the better equipped you'll be to handle things. But you can get most of this stuff nowadays online and from internships and talking to people, being really close to people who do the thing that you want to grow up and do, you know. So I wouldn't say it's super necessary, but it wouldn't hurt either, right? If I had my choice when I was younger, I would have never went to college, but my mama was not having that like like at all, like not even a little bit. So, and I was already I had already been an artist for 4 years before I even went to college. Like I was out here doing big shows and festivals, and I won the Apollo when I was 14, 15 years old. So like I'd already proven myself as a solid young teenage artist, and my mom was still like, nah, you still taking your ass to college. So so
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, so like
what years are y'all in college right now?
we're sophomores.
Yeah.
We actually we went to the same high school, and we're in that building right now.
Okay.
But yeah, and so we've known each other for like
Years.
13
Yeah,
years
it's been a
now. It's
while.
Oh
been a
wow.
while.
Oh
So
wow,
Yeah.
yeah. That's dope. No, I went to college with a couple of my high school friends too. That was a super fun experience too. So definitely cherish having some people from your OG days still with you, like on the
Yeah, for
college
sure.
journey, because it can be a stressful, weird kind of boot camp feeling,
Oh yeah.
you know,
hmm
So
Yeah. Yeah, so like in your career, like what do you think makes a successful person in your career, and what might accompany that with like personality traits? So, like for example, confidence. Like if it has to do with like performing on stage, whatever that may be. What are some of those things that helped aid someone be successful?
what was the first part of the question? You said, what about being successful?
Yeah, so what is it that that helps make people successful in your career?
Okay. What about it? It helps people. Well, I don't know. I guess the first thought I had was like success is like a very personal thing, right? Um, it's like personal, but then it's also like quantify it. Like you can quantify it too, like right. We know there's certain things in the music industry, like if you get a Grammy or something like that, then you're like, oh, okay, that person's successful, or they have these successful traits that led them to getting a Grammy. But it's a very personal thing though too. I don't know. It's hard. Like some people being successful is like getting 100 likes on a post or something. You know what I mean? But like to some people, you got that it's like higher. It's like, oh, I got to get 1 million likes on this post or something. I don't know. But most people who are successful, I find definitely they definitely have a lot of confidence. They're definitely super persistent. Like they never quit. They're always like staying on top of themselves to get the next thing done. Um, and they're usually super energetic. Um, they're usually very likable too. Um, and the main one is that never quitting. I think a lot of people sleep on that part of the success, like especially with social media making things look like people blow up overnight or blow up over a week or a month or something, not knowing that that person was probably working on whatever they were working on for like 10 plus years, or doing something for 10 plus years that led them to that moment where it looked like they had like overnight success or something like that. So being persistent is probably the most important quality of a successful person. And then of course like timing and place and stuff like that, the little stuff like that.
Well, I was just kind of thinking, because you mentioned, everybody has, or successful people will find, that timing, and whether it's right away or whether it's 10 years down the road, um, what would you say would be kind of at least one of your moments? Sure, there might be more moments down the road, but what would you say was kind of your big moment in time where you found, a measurable amount of success, or like it started the measurable amount of success kind of thing?
But that's easy. The winning the Apollo at 14, 15 years old. That was like I had never done anything nowhere near as big as that, and I never even thought that was fucking possible, especially so young. Like I had just got it. I had just really started singing in front of people like 2 years or so before that. So I didn't have a whole lot of experience. Like it was just me and my mom. We drove from Virginia Beach to New York, to Harlem, and we went in there, and I was like stressing the whole day. I'm like, what the hell am I wearing? I look stupid as hell. Like, the band like started the song too fast when we got on stage. They didn't do it like how we did it in sound check, and I was just not very experienced and like not super confident. But I still got out there and did the thing. And then by the end of the night, I won the toughest crowd in the world over. So I thought like, oh man, like I proved to them and I proved to myself that I was worth way more than I thought I was at a very young age. That was a huge moment of success. And honestly, probably I would say is my biggest moment of success ever. Like if you think about the history of that building and the history of that show and how many literally legends, living legends and past legends have gone through that stage and rubbed the log and all of that stuff. And it's just crazy. I've never done anything as big as that up to now. And
Yeah,
that was
no,
20
that
years,
is
that was
crazy.
20 years ago.
Wow. Huh.
Man.
That's crazy having like that, especially at like such a young age, that moment of just success. I
Mhm.
mean, that's crazy. Not many people can say that they've done something like that. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, so like, man, I had a question, but I just lost
You
it.
lost the question.
Yeah.
You gotta get a notepad or something. Get some notes.
Right.
um, so once that happened, right? You're like, oh wow, if I can impress, the toughest audience in the world, the kind of thing, everybody else should be really no
Easy.
issue, right?
Easy.
It should be,
They could have booed me off stage if they wanted to. Like I was old enough to be booed off the stage. So
man. So
yeah.
when that big boost of confidence came, because I would imagine it was like one of the, if not the largest boost of confidence you had in your life by that point,
Yeah.
having that kind of win and stuff like that. Um, what were I'm guessing it affected your life mostly positively, but what would you say was like kind of the big thing that it did positively for you? Like where did it take your career? But also, if there was something, what would you say did it negatively impact?
Positively impact definitely had a huge like confidence boost
Mhm.
after that. Super huge confidence boost. They did like a little newspaper article on me, like locally back home at the time, and I think they did a little school newspaper article at the time too. So I was feeling like big man on campus. Like I think that was my freshman or sophomore year of high school. So that was like super huge,
Oh
to
wow.
like this nobody nothing kid like just out here going to like walking into New York like I like own the place or something like that, you know. So that was a huge deal. But I would say like the only thing or huge confidence boost. But I would say like if there was anything negative from it, it would be like trying to like chase that high again, kind of, you know, because like when you're up like that, you want to stay up. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like what can I do next? It's almost like what is it like peaking too soon, almost kind of. But you don't know when that's gonna happen. Like you're just trying to make it. Like at that age, I was trying to get like a record deal and like you know help my family with the finances and stuff because it's just my mom and me and my three other siblings, right? So we needed help financially. So I was just trying to do my thing and take care of my family. But like you don't know you're gonna peak too soon until it like actually happens. And you're like, oh dang, this is like a huge thing. Like I'm just a child. I don't realize that I'm doing like a huge thing. I just think I'm doing like a huge thing. You know what I mean? So you're just trying to get exposure. So I would say the only negative thing, if it is negative, is just trying to chase that high again of okay, what can I do that's as big as winning the Apollo at 14, 15 years old, you know? Like, and it's like nothing besides like, I don't know, getting a huge record deal that actually favors me percentage wise, and like getting like, well, I don't know, every song on my first album number one, all number one charted or something. You know, it's got to be crazy. Like, and even then, that still wouldn't honestly be bigger than the Apollo if you really look at it. But like something close to that high, right? You know, like chasing that
Mhm.
high. I never wanted to be that type of artist, like chasing a high all the time, like whether it's like drug related or non-drug related, because you know the fall is always crazy. Like the crash out is crazy. And
Mhm.
I don't want to be like a results based. I want to be a pretty even killed, you know, individual. But it's hard, you know, when you're really out there trying.
Hmm.
So, what would you say, kind of in that situation where you've already hit a way higher mark than maybe even you were ready for or you were expecting or anything like that? What would you say your thought process was at the time of how to handle that? Like where was your next step to kind of, you know, keep control and not let things spiral out of control?
Mhm.
What was that next step you took?
Well, most of it was just leaning on my mom at the time, because she was my we called her my momager at the time. Um, and like she would help me, like we would bounce ideas off of each other and be like, well, okay, well, what can we do now? And I think at the time I still wasn't old enough to audition for American Idol yet. So we were looking at that, and I was like, I can't audition for that um just yet. So we were just trying to do as many like local talent shows, get me involved with like just gigging and doing like wedding singing and stuff like that, like stuff to still craft my I can still hone my craft and like work on my abilities and practice in front of people instead of just practicing at home, because it's very different, right, when you're in front of a crowd of people. um and that's really just what we did until I was old enough to finally audition for American Idol, and we started doing that. That was the next high we were chasing, for a lack of better words. And yeah, that's pretty much how I remember that um happening.
So, speaking of getting gigs, what would you recommend to someone that wants to get into music and they want to get gigs and they want to like start practicing in front of an audience, but they don't know where to look? What are some good places that you would recommend?
Like live performing.
Yeah, live performing, whatever it may be.
For live performance specifically, karaoke. People sleep on karaoke bars and open mics. Those are very good places to go and not only practice in front of people, but if you already got it, you know, just show out a little bit. And if you got like business cards on you or something, whatever, however you know, handle your business in person, like network with people when you're there, like people who you know, try and scope out people while you're performing and see who's really vibing with you, and like, you know, walk up to them after your set and give them a business card or something, or strike up a conversation, because a lot of times those little conversations turn into gigs, you know, or some type of work, some type of opportunity, you know, and you never know who you're talking to. That's the craziest part. Like I've heard that phrase be thrown around so much my whole entire career, and it's like it gets crazier and crazier as I get older. You never know who you're talking to. You know, you don't know who you're sitting next to on the train, on a plane, in an Uber share. You know, you don't know who you're talking to. You could be talking to the CEO of a big, I don't know, record company or something that's been looking for somebody that's got what you got or something. And you never would think that because of who you are or what your situation is, but you never know who you're talking to. Like, and I don't mean like try to sell yourself all the time, but like just be like genuine and open to having a conversation with pretty much anybody, because you never know who that person knows, like that you're talking to, or who you're communicating with. Like it's literally a very, very, very small world, and conversations tend to turn into some type of opportunity if you you know, if you're really listening and paying attention and saying the right things.
Yeah, for sure. I even just this podcast, the whole idea of a podcast is you have to constantly be networking, finding people, sharing your story, stuff like that. And like what you're saying, that you could be sitting next to anyone.
Hmm.
I myself had that experience, even just flying. I remember and it was funny because the situation was more of like um, it was kind of a long story, but we ended up having the same seat booked, even though it was, well, you can't do that. You can't sit in the same seat. So she's like, "Oh, that's my seat." I'm like, "Oh, it's my seat as well." And so we ended up working out. It was fine. But after that, once we took off and stuff, we started having a conversation, and I forget the exact relation to the person. She was either a family member or a family friend, but regardless, she knew the CEO of a beef jerky company, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sure he would. I'm sure he'd love to be part of the podcast. That sounds like a lot of fun, and I think he would really dig that." And so I was like, "Oh, cool." And in my head, this is when we're just getting started. Like, I think we had filmed one episode or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like pumped about this. I'm like, yes. And we just got our business cards. I'm like, oh, I have a business card if you want it. And so sure enough, she took a picture of the card and everything. And
Hmm.
within I think it was within like a month, we had him, ready to go for the podcast. And we went and flew down, did a whole trip to Nashville and everything. And it was honestly, I think, one of the coolest experiences in my life, especially, just starting out and getting to do that for the first time. So, yeah, it's 100% true that you can find people literally anywhere, just sitting on an airplane, minding your own business, and suddenly you have, your next step, right? So, yeah,
Crazy. That's
that's a
crazy.
really,
CEO of the beef jerky corporation. That's dope. That's dope.
yeah, for
Yeah.
That's
sure.
work right there. That's solid work. As long as you keep doing that, you're fine. You're good.
Hmm.
I'm
Right,
good.
yeah.
The art of the
Yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of curious because you in the past have worked with Voiceplay before, and you have been a part of the acapella world. And I love Voiceplay and the stuff that they work on, and so that's how I got to know you as well, listening to that stuff. And so, like, how did you end up meeting the members? Like, and how did that initial thing started where you started working on music with them?
I get this question a lot, and I need to like at this point I need to write it out into a story so that way I feel like I'm finna turn into like as I get bigger, it's gonna turn into like this Jamie Foxx type thing where he tells it like 50 different ways. Like I'm not as good of a storyteller, but I'm working on it. Anyways, so me and Ellie were the first. Ellie was the first person I met from Voiceplay. Okay, so it started. I was working at American Music Machine at Disney's Epcot Theater, and that was an a cappella show there. So there were a bunch of a cappella singers in the Orlando area all working at that same show, and I met the beatboxer from Edge Effect at that show. We were like working a shift together, and he was like, "Hey, our bass is going to be out of town for this cruise ship gig that we got going on. We need somebody to sub for him." And he hit me up to do it. And I was like, this was my first time getting like a bass singing, like a paid bass singing job was at Disney. So again, new to how that works, right? So like, but he trusted me to sub for them. So while I was subbing for them, Ellie was subbing for their tenor on that gig. So we met on the cruise ship to do that gig, and then like just in between shows hanging out and drinking and just chopping it up, just being two musicians like just talking about life. He brought up voice play and was like, hey, would you like to come do like some Christmas stuff with us like this year? And I was like, hell yeah. I was like, you seem pretty cool, like so we swap information or whatever. I'm like, it might turn into something, it might not. he hits me up and he's like, "Oh, we're having auditions for the Christmas show or whatever." I came through, I sang baritone, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, he can come do the thing with us." So I started doing the Christmas thing with them, and that's how the relationship started. But it started off again with like what we were talking about, the art of the mingle, right? Like, and I tell people this all the time. I was like, if I was an asshole or I was unprofessional or I sounded trash on the bass line and all of this stuff and like wasn't a cool hang, like Ellie would have never wasted his damn time talking to me. You know what I mean? Like he would be like, this dude's garbage. Like I don't want to do this gig with him. Why would I want to do other gigs with him? Right? He just wouldn't talk to me about wanting to do stuff with his group, right? So that's how it all started, just showing up prepared with a good attitude and stepping out of my comfort zone and mingling. Not mingling to get anything out of anybody, just chilling, And it turned into this whole thing. I never would even thought of. I never had heard of them before meeting Ellie, and I'd always been into acapella music a little bit, but like not to a point where I was like, oh man, I gotta be like this acapella singer. Like I never have been like that. I just always thought it was a cool sound, right? So it's a dope story. I like telling that story a lot because those I consider those guys family at this point, man. Like I've almost known them for 10 years at this point. We've almost been making videos and music together for 10 years. And that's like it feels like yesterday when I like met them, right? It doesn't feel like it's been that long. So,
Mhm.
but yeah,
What? Yeah. What's your? What? That's a really interesting story how you met Ellie. That's cool. What is like when working with them? What is it that you like about working with them? But also, as kind of like a little side question, what is your favorite song that you have covered with them that you've worked on?
yeah. I like working with them because it's like when you go to that friend's house. I don't know if you ever had this type of friend. You go to that friend's house and they got like every damn thing. I
Yep.
got this and this and this. Like this ain't even came out yet. Like how do you get this and this? It's like that. Like, I just don't have to try like super hard. I just like plug myself in and I go, and everything's already done for you. You just do your thing and show up and be yourself. And it's like it's always just like a vacation for me. Like I know it's work too, right? Because you got to work at it to be that efficient and that dope and all the things at the same time. But it's like it's always a very happy thing for me. I always look forward to that. Um, every single time. Even when there's been times in the process where I've kind of been annoyed with like what's happening. I'm like, I trust that this is gonna be super dope because of the people who are involved every single time. And my favorite song, it's always hard to pick my favorite, but I think I'm always gonna pick the first one I ever did with them was the all-time beautiful low, Scars to Your Beautiful Low. I don't know what the actual uh title is of it. It's like the all time low mixed with Scars to Your Beautiful. I think that's what the name of the song is. Um, John Bellion and Alicia Carter or Lisa Carter. I always mess up her name. I need to stop doing that. My bad. Um, but yeah, that one was special because I never heard myself sound like that before. I've never recorded a professional a cappella song before. I sang a cappella in college. I was in an a cappella group. My boy band when I was younger, we did like a cappella stuff, but we never like went into the studio and recorded this produced like super fucking dope sounding thing. Like, but that all time low, as soon as that joint as soon as that joint hit, we had that shit on repeat for like months. Like I was like, ever like me and my roommates, every time I come home from work, they be playing it on the video on the big screen and shit because they never heard no shit like that ever before. So it was just dope to like share that excitement in the sound was new to us, you know. Um, and like the video was swaggy and we had on like dress clothes and the bow tie and stuff. And I'm like, it's so simple, but it's so like dope. Like, I don't know. I just never had experienced that before. So it was that'll always be my favorite one. And the song is just the song and the arrangement is just the way we sang that, and then we still had Brother Earl in the group at the time too, and just the way our voices bounce off of each other, and G on the lows, and Lane killing the beatbox, and Ellie with the T2. It's crazy, man. Like I can still every time I listen to that song, I go right back to the moment of like record when I recorded it with Lane. I had never heard either one of those songs ever before in my life. And I'm literally in the studio just recording it. He's like, all right, we're gonna do this a few lines at a time because I know you never heard the song. And he's like, all right, sing it normal, and then I want you to sing it the way you want to sing it. And then all right, try this. And like it was like really just being creative, like building that shit from the bottom, like and I remember all of it. I remember all of it. Like
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Just like that first time of just doing it in that
mhm.
like setting. Oh my gosh. Yeah, what is it? Because we've also interviewed Tim Faust.
Okay.
Um, and so we asked him this question as well. Out of all the guys in voice play, uh, who is it what is it that you admire about each one of them?
Mm, what do I admire about each one of them? I know collectively everyone is always down to clown. And I being the class clown my whole life, I always admire that because I know everybody's not like that. Some people are more, all right, we got to get back to work, but like everyone's really good at like joking around and being real stupid. And then like as soon as the camera's like going, it's like, all right, time to lock back in. You know? But yeah, okay. What I appreciate about each one. Okay, Lane, I appreciate a lot about Lane. Lane is really like the motor behind like everything. But I appreciate, even though I joke him about this all the time, I appreciate Stein time because I feel like that's what turns the gold into platinum. Like when he Stein times us, when he goes off into this universe in his brain and an idea that doesn't make any fucking sense to any of us. But when we do it, it like after the fact, like in post, you're like, oh, that's what he was saying. You're like, oh, okay. I get it. So I call that Stein time. Um Ellie, I just appreciate him being like super big brother. Like he always would make sure, especially when I first started, he always made sure I knew exactly what was going on. He would like be like my translator for the rest of the group because sometimes I wouldn't know what the hell they're talking about. And Ellie would be like, oh, that just means you're supposed to do this, and this. And then on top of that, him having these crazy ass fucking vocals that you would not expect to come out of that body. Like, oh, bro. It's like who told you you're allowed to sing like that? Like who said allowed to do that? And then G is like again big brother again, but I'm trying to think what I appreciate the most about G. G is probably more so the one that keeps us on schedule from what I remember. It's like he would reel us back in a little bit more and be like, okay, we got our laughs in. We said what we needed to say. Let's get it done. And then, you know, he's just good people. He used to pick me up from the crib and like give me a ride to the airport and stuff when I first started doing gigs with them. Before, you know, when I lived like almost an hour away from the airport. But he'd come pick me up and take me to the airport with him and stuff, or let me ride to the airport with him. And then of course again the vocals again. It's like who when did you enter another universe? When did you find your voice like underneath the earth's crust? Like how did you get down there and find how did you get down there and find a whole nother octave that like nobody else knows how to sing in as clearly or cleanly as that? Like it just doesn't make sense. Um and then Caesar, I've known Caesar since like over I think I've known Caesar longer than the rest of them. We met like at a Universal Studios audition or something like over a decade ago. And then we did some cover band stuff together like a couple of years after that. And Caesar's just always been the same guy, and I appreciate that about him the most. He's super solid, like always bubbly and full of energy, super supportive, and he speaks positivity into people's lives like all the time, you know? Like he just wants to support and help people like mentally and physically as much as possible. And I always appreciated that about him. Never got any bad vibes from Brother Caesar. So yeah, man. Just a solid, super solid group of people that you always want to be around, man. Like, even if it has nothing to do with music, like you would love to chill with these people. They're just great people, you know.
Mm, yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Now knowing like being a like from the viewer's POV and just listening to their music, now knowing like personally like what they're like, it's just so cool hearing that.
Great.
Um yeah, so
Hard to find that. And especially in the music industry, that's not
mhm.
a thing. That's not a normal thing. And I never really found that really until them. Like not this solid anyways. Like I met some solid people, but like by far the most solid for sure that I've ever met and worked with a bunch of times.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so when like creating music, like arranging, singing, what is it that you found that distinguishes a good arrangement and a good piece from a bad or subpar arrangement or uh, for a song?
Mm, ask the question one more time because my brain went off into another
Yeah, no worries.
arrangements.
So yeah, like as far as it goes, like when you hear a song and you hear how it's arranged and stuff, what is it that makes it stand out and makes it sound really good? But what are some things that might make it subpar or just kind of blend in with like the rest of what's just out there and it not really be anything unique?
I think what makes it stand out is a lot of things can make even a bad arrangement stand out. Obviously, you got to have like the right personnel, like the right voices. It's got to be recorded a certain way for it to stand out too. And then like just creating moments within the arrangement, whether that be more of a musical moment or more of like a production moment created in post or something, like doing stuff like that will make it stand out. And if you can, having like multiple hooks or like a mashup of like catchy stuff or catchier songs in there to make it, I don't know, more recognizable by the ear, all of that stuff combined together could make it more interesting. Just small things. It doesn't have to be nothing huge. And you said like subpar arrangements. I guess like everything like just sounding the same, like there's really no dynamics. There's no moments are created in there that make anything stand out at all. Um, and it's kind of like just a wash, which is, I kind of get doing that sometimes too. You just want it to be sometimes you just want things to be super simple, right? But if it just all kind of sounds the same and there's no emotion or no dynamics or any moments created, it's kind of just yeah, you know.
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah.
Um, this is kind of a shift to just the more a more broad topic. But and we ask this question a lot, or I guess all the time. We always ask this question. Um, just overall throughout your career, um, what would you say would be um, what would you say would be like a positive lesson that you learned, but also maybe a negative lesson that you learned as well that kind of guided your path?
Like a positive lesson and a negative lesson that I learned that guided my path.
Yeah, so like, something that like, oh, okay, that was good that I did that kind of a thing, and then, another instance where you're like, ooh, should not have done that. Um,
Okay.
and that you kind of learn from.
A positive lesson. I've learned a lot. Good grief. But where to start though? I guess the thing that's loudest at the front of my mind would be just really focusing on being yourself. Um, Focusing on being yourself as an artist. Like I remember when I was getting into my like early 20s, like entering my 20s and stuff, I met a lot of producers and stuff who were just like, you know, I can tell like you kind of mimic other artists and stuff, and that's cool, but they were like, you really need to figure out how to like figure out your voice, you know, figure out your voice, and that'll lead you to figuring out your sound, or actually figure out yourself, figure out your voice, and that'll help you figure out your sound. And that's a huge task. I feel like, you know, I don't know, people got different outlooks on this, but I feel like we never stop growing really, especially if you're like a mover and a shaker, like you move over all over the country or whatever, all over the world, and you're always in different places and working with different people. So you kind of just pick up things as you go along. But to stop the long answers, to just really concentrate on being yourself, that's really going to help you figure out what who you are as an artist. Um, and then we said like a negative thing that helped. What was that? I lost the rest of the question.
Yeah, just kind of like a negative or a bad lesson, like a lesson that you learned from something that was a mistake, kind of a thing. Um,
I guess just watching who you trust and who you do certain deals with, and that can go from a small scale to a big scale. You know, just really making sure who you work with is somebody that really has your um best interest, and that's super hard, especially when you're young. You're young and you're hungry and you're trying to, you know, prove to yourself and to the world and whoever else, family or whoever close by, that you know you can do these things on a higher level. Um, Sometimes you compromise a little too much and you get into some predicament or some type of deal that just doesn't suit you at all. Um, and that's not where you want to be. So that's just living and learning though too. And depending on who you've got in your corner that can help you with these things, and who you outsource and who you go talk to about certain, who you trust to talk about certain things, you know. So you just gotta watch how you're conducting business at the end of the day.
mhm. That makes a lot of sense actually. Um, I think so far we've been fairly lucky. I
Yeah.
mean, for the most part, as you know, as teenagers just going into college, a lot of the guidance is just like parents or family or even teachers or professors um, of just like you know basic tips and advisements and stuff like that. But yeah, for sure, as we meet people and stuff like that, you know, figuring out um, who because all the interviews super fun, good stuff. But at the end of the day, it is a worthwhile thing to think about who is um, a more likely person that will come back, right? And who's
Hmm.
someone that we can keep that relation and stuff like that. Um, and so even starting small, there's already kind of those ideas going through our head of like, okay, well, um, this went well, this went better, and these, figuring out kind of what works and what doesn't, stuff like that, I think is very important.
Mhm.
Because if you find the right people, like, kind of like, it seems like you've kind of found your group, or, um, you know, once you find that person or those people, it makes things go a lot faster and it's a lot easier because now you have a team, whether
Hmm.
you're working directly with them or working kind of individually, but collaborating, anything like that, it makes things a lot easier.
Definitely.
Uh, So, yeah.
Well, do you have any more questions, or should we wrap it up?
I think we're ready for that final question.
Okay, and so this is the final question. We ask it to every single guest. And if there is one thing that you would want a person listening to remember from this interview, it could be something you've said, it could be something you haven't said. But if there was one thing you would want them to remember, to take with them for the rest of their life, what would that bit of advice be?
That bit of advice. Final question. Always try and go. Every time you ask me a question, there's a bunch of thoughts that pop up all at once. I try and go for the focus on the loudest one, and the loudest one, which is this is what I've been telling myself a lot lately. And I just lost it. I know I'm gonna find it. I just lost it. Um, there it is. You are way stronger than you think, and people sleep on that phrase a lot too. But I didn't start realizing that until the last like few years, honestly. But anybody listening to this, you are way stronger than you think. You just need to put yourself to the test or multiple tests, whatever that is, whatever you've been gnawing on multiple times a day or at night before you go to sleep or first thing in the morning. That's the thing that you need to face and test yourself with, because you are definitely stronger than you think. And I know that because I'm stronger than I think, and I'm proving it to myself more and more every single day. So that's what I would leave the people with.
Nice. Well, do you want to wrap up the interview?
Yeah, either way, I can wrap
Okay.
it up. First, I just want to say that's extremely good advice, because I mean, I think, especially if, you know, in a sense, facing your fears almost, and it's not always a fear, it's like a struggle or a habit or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're able to, you know, kind of face those and beat them,
Mm-hmm.
it it's a massive, that's not just like a confidence boost, like wow, I actually did that, but it's also like it it helps someone see the like if I was able to surpass that, you know, whether it's your greatest weakness or whatever it is,
You can do more.
suddenly the small things don't seem as bad.
It's just a
um,
mental thing. It's just a mental thing, which is most things. And we get in our ways, so we get in our own way so damn much. So like if we had somebody behind us like telling us almost every day, bro, I'm telling you, you're stronger than you think you are. And once you start doing those little things to get those mental blocks out the way, you're gonna start seeing shit open up. And you're just gonna start thinking differently. You're like, oh man, I've been in my own way all this time, or something else caused me to be depressed or sad that had me in my own way. And once you get it out of the way, you're like, oh, this is what I was supposed to be doing the whole time, you know?
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
that's incredible.
It is, yeah.
So yeah, I think that'll about do it for today. I'm sure our audience is like, no. But we do try to, you know, keep these to roughly an hour or so.
Yeah,
So yeah, thank you. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. It's
Yeah,
been an
thank you.
absolute pleasure having you here.
absolutely. For having
Awesome
me.
conversation. And to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in and hearing what J.None has to say, and being such an awesome audience. As for this episode, that'll about wrap it up. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe or like or follow. Or we have so many different platforms that it's one of those, one of those three. And we'll be back next time with another awesome guest. I don't actually know if we know who it is at this point, but we'll figure it out. By the time you see this, we'll know. And you'll know soon as well. Otherwise, be sure to subscribe to our Patreon and be back next time. Otherwise, I've been Devin, this is Jackson, this is J.None, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.